Hi friends, WizD here. Welcome to a new Raid Shadow Legends video. Yes, in all the madness about Ascension, Mythicals, +4 Legos and all of that stuff, some epics are still relevant in the game today. Yes, the percentage of relevant epics is decreasing, but there are still some very good ones and we'll visit some of them today. Why would you use epics instead of Legos in certain areas? First of all, some epics got better kits than the mid-tier Legos, so they are better than some of the Legos. Well, a good considerable percentage of the Legos in-game. Second reason is that for certain parts of content like Centranos or Faction Morhars or Secret Rooms, you have to use epics, not Legos, so that will force you toward the epics. And the other factors that I will show here that basically motivated me to create this video is that as you're opening shards, sometimes you'll get lucky/unlucky and you'll get copies of epics. So you might have a +4 epics that stats wise makes sense to use more than your mid-tier Legos that you don't have duplicates for. And also I will add a random Lego exception to this list because he's really bad, he's worse than epics. But I got a 6-star soul for him, so let's test him today and see how it will work. One thing that I won't do in this video, because I usually criticize content creators who do so, I won't pick that random epic or rare champion, put gear on them that's unrealistic, that you'll never have it on your account, and then surround them by mythicals or OP Legos and say, look at what this epic is doing. I will test their damage in a regular mid-tier build compared to in-game. I won't regear anyone. Yes, I know that some of you don't like this because they are saying you're not comparing the same stats, so you can't judge that this champion is better than that one. But the real questions that we're trying to answer here, not that this champion is better than everyone else in the same gear, it's about whether they can be useful to you or not. So we'll test them basically on the same Doom Tower hard level, let's say. We will test their kits to see why they are better or worse than anyone else. Then we will examine their kits and their builds against the OP champions that we'll test them against, just to see how much the gear level is making a difference and whether they are actually useful for you or not, depending on your level of gear. So let's just jump into it. So let's go to Doom Tower hard. What is the highest floor that's open now? Okay, let's test on floor 27. Let's say it's as good as anyone. And let's bring in a couple of the champions that we're going to test with. Okay, here is our first lineup. So this is our attack up and defense down and weakened champions. So Lydia and Arbiter will be static here. I created dedicated videos for Whisper and Oburu. They're both super OP. So they are not part of our test. Well, they are sort of is, but anyways. But the champion that we're going to be testing will be in that last spot. So Gala would be the first one. Gala is one of the best single target damage dealers. If you remember Sheeny, one of the content creators creating a lot of content for Arena, I think he stopped for a while now. He was using Gala to finish in plat because her multiple hits and ignored defense that's built into her kit made her really a good option if you have good enough gear, even to knock out Legos, tanky Legos out of Arena, not Mythicals of course, that's a different story now. But let's test Gala against Oburu and Whisper, who are geared better. And then we will compare her also against stronger options, just to see the difference there. So let's test first Oburu and Whisper, and let's see. So we have attack up, defense down, and then let's target that Seeker on the right hand side. So first let's test Whisper skills against him. So Whisper A3, let me repeat this because I didn't catch it up on 2x speed. So let's try it on 1x speed now. So thank you very much, Atur. You're useless beyond this. And Whisper A3, let's go ahead and test it. So I've seen 67 and then 32, so double hitter, rounding up to 100 hits, and my Whisper is in a really good build. So now let's see the other Whisper skills to start comparing her against Gala. Gala probably is in a worse build, but the important thing is that Gala is in a build, I'll show it to you of course after this, that's realistic to you. So we have defense up here, so let's test Whisper's A2, 230k. That's big. But Whisper is Whisper. Whisper is really one of the strongest epics ever, beating a lot of Legos, and maybe even mythicals in single target damage. So 230k is our like highlight from Whispers A2. Now let's see what Whispers A1 would do before removing her from the team to test the other team members here. So 80k more or less, okay, and of course Whisper can grant herself extra hits. Okay, now let's test whose turn it is. Probably it's going to be Oburu. I think Oburu would be faster than Gala. Let's see now. 230, remember 230k is Whisper's hardest hit that we've seen. So let's see. Okay, so now it's Gala's turn. Gala A3. 3 hits ignoring defense. So let's see against that Seeker here. That was a little bit of a weak sauce. Okay, she got a second chance. Let's test her A2 now. Yeah, that's way weaker than I thought. Okay, now let's test Oburu. Is it Oburu's turn? Yeah, Oburu A3. 100k. That looks way better. So Gala is letting me down and she's a +4. That's basically why I wanted to test her today. Of course, she is in a weaker build. So in her defense, she is in a weaker build. Okay, Gala, the A1. 20k A1. So Gala is not doing it for us. Let's examine Gala's gear actually. Because did I actually gear her this bad? I don't remember if I geared her this bad or what. But she's not doing much there. So first of all, one of the good sets to put on Gala is Relentless, because she can keep doing those single target hits and do some damage here. So look at this. No. So Gala, our first test, she's actually disappointing for me. I didn't expect her to have, I don't remember, I built her a while back. So she got 5.8k attack with 290 crit damage. And she's void, so she doesn't weak hit. So with almost 6k attack and 290 crit damage, that's all she's doing. And I believe she even got masteries as compared to some other champions. Of course, I could have given her Helm Smasher to like do more damage. But still, at 5.8k attack and 290 crit damage, Gala is a big flop for me. So compared to both Oburu and Whisper, Gala hugely disappointed me. Now let's test our second champion of the day. Okay, so Whisper is our high bar. If someone is doing half Whisper's damage, then they are strong enough for us to use. So now let's test, well, we don't need to test Whisper actually, we just tested her. So let's do someone like, let's do this champion. Who is this? Just for comparison here. So we know that her A2 is the hardest hitting, 225k. Now let's test Ragnar. Let's start with Ragnar A3 here on the same champion. So he buffs himself, 86k. Single hit, so that's not so bad actually. He's definitely better than Gala. I'm really disappointed in Gala, but let's see. Let's try him in a second hit now and see what would happen here. Okay, Whisper, don't be a show off. We already know what you can do. Come on, okay. Now Whisper will keep getting additional turns. This is not your showcase, come on. Stop it. Okay, Ragnar, let's see what your A1 can do now. So I would say that his A3 is not so bad, but that's about it. So even at a +4, Ragnar is also a flop. We will test the stronger ones after this, just to see what we're missing on here. So that's Ragnar. What's your stats? He's in random gear. He's not even in lethal or anything. But still he has... So build-wise, he's weaker. So he's 5k attack and 260 crit damage. But this is still a very decent build. So him hitting harder than, with the A3 at least, harder than Gala, means that he's better than her as a single target damage dealer. So Ragnar is okay, I guess. Now we'll test the good epics after this. So this is our last test of a champion that might disappoint us. After this, we'll test the stronger champions like Whisper against each other. Of course, a 6-star blessing on Whisper is playing a factor here. So we'll test her against like champions that are comparable. Who did I want to test? So this is what I wanted to test against. So Saito is one of the bad Legos. Yes, he's just a damage dealer. He doesn't bring much to the table. But I got the 6-star soul on him that I put Crushing Rind on. So now let's see whether Saito, being a Lego with a 6-star Crushing Rind, can fight against Whisper or not. We'll check Whisper builds. That's something that we haven't done yet. So let's try it after this one. Again, we'll test the comparable damage here. And we'll test his different skills. I'm hoping that he can do some good damage. So that's the 230k hit, 237 actually. Thank you very much. So now let's try this. So this looks a good hit because it's a single hit, then attacks all enemies. So let's see now. Let's start with this one. Oh, hold on. I'll need to repeat this because he weak hitted against that Taurus. I forgot that he's not void, so yeah, Taurus basically he will weak hit against Taurus. Okay. Maybe I should have taken care of those annoying Atours there. Okay. Let's try and get rid of Atour. One of Whisper's strengths is all of those extra turns, so now let's try against that Seeker. So 61 and then 27 AoE. That's okay-ish. Like Ragnar hit better, and then Ragnar didn't have the 6-star Crushing Rind, and also Ragnar is not a Lego like Saito. Yes, you're one of the worst Legos in the game, but do some damage. You have a 6-star blessing and an okay build that we'll check after this. Okay, let's get rid of that Atour. I don't like them. They keep counter-attacking. And then, okay, let's test this one. Okay, so he buffed himself and 39. Okay, let's give him another try with the A1. A few hours later, Saito got his turn and let's test his A1. Come on, 3 hits, 10k each. That's nothing. That's nothing. Okay. We will test the proper champions against each other now. So let's first check Saito's build. So again, he's not in lethal or anything because I want it to be realistic. So actually, like in his defense, 4.4k attack is a little bit on the low side. Yes, 280 crit damage, but the 6-star Crushing Rind, and he doesn't have masteries, I believe. Yeah, I didn't farm his masteries, which would have increased his damage a little bit, but the gap is huge. Yes, you can tell me that this is not a like-to-like test, but a Lego, an attack-based Lego, that his only kit is causing damage, with a 6-star Blessing, Crushing Rind, should have done more damage than this. Now let's test the actual epic beasts against each other. And as I said, I created separate videos for them, if I can find Doom Tower now. I create separate videos for each of them, but let's just test who is going to be best among these. Here we go. Let's test the best in class. Here we go. Let's test the best in class. Once Atour finished his ridiculousness. So we know that Whisper probably is the strongest or not. Let's see. So that's her strongest hit. 237. Let's see how the others would compare. Phoenix, massive A1. And yes, I'll give him the advantage of a strong hit here. Show us how it's done. Okay, so 120k-ish, 115k with block revive on an A1 that will never go on cooldown. That's why Phoenix is so strong. Now let's test Oburu. Let's give Oburu a chance to show us what she can do here. So let's test Oburu in that 42, 40. She was hitting for 100 on the A3. We've seen it before. So among them, basically it's Whisper, then Phoenix, and then lastly Oburu. But let's give them a second chance here. So the A3. Okay. Phoenix, basically it's all about his A1. So let's give her a chance with the A1. Okay, we've seen it. And give us a big smash Phoenix. Okay, again, same number. So 115k on an A1 with block revive is massive. Phoenix is one of the hardest hitting single target damage dealers in the game. Let's actually do one more test before we wrap up and we examine the gear for those actually properly built champions here. So I removed Whisper the show off and I put Rotos back. I have a dedicated video comparing Rotos to Phoenix in case you don't have Rotos. Rotos, of course, with his mechanics and his skills and his passive not being like that, you cannot kill him in a single hit, provides more value. But let's just see what he can do. So we remember the numbers from Whisper and Oboro already, so we don't need to see them here. So let's see what Rotos A3 would do to this Seeker. 184k. He's hitting almost as hard as this Whisper. But now let's see his A2. 74k. With the destroy like enemy max, with the destroy enemy max HP, it still counts for something here. So Rotos still is one of the kings of single target damage here. Oh, look at this. Phoenix didn't like what we've done to him before. So he's hitting for a 200k on an A1. Come on, Phoenix. Reclaim your reputation. And we'll test, of course, Rotos A1 that can always have a chance to get like extra hits, which is the same for Gala and Whisper, which is one of the reasons why they are so strong, because they can keep giving each other those extra hits. So now let's see, just an A1, casual A1, 43k. Okay, Phoenix, you want to show us another 200k? Come on, look at this. In this comparison, in all of today's video, Whisper is Whisper. She's a crazy damage dealer for bosses. But Phoenix is one of the wins. Like, Phoenix is one of my most favorite champions in the entire game. His kit got debuffs if you need them. Very useful debuffs, even now in endgame. And his A1 is just crazy. It's just an A1 with block revive that hits hard. Look at this 250k. Rotos is claiming back his reputation as well. I don't think we need to do any further tests here. So we know who are the good ones. Rotos, of course, is out of this comparison because it was meant for epics, but I'll just show you his build just in case. If you remember, Rotos should be built in a mix of attack and HP because his damage scales from both, of course, in Savage or Lethal. So let's check his stats. My Rotos is a little bit slow for today's meta. 280% crit damage is okay, and 5.4k attack, but just remember he also got 55k of HP. That combination, if we talk about an attack only champion, this should be around 7k. So this build makes Rotos tankier, harder to kill, and he does a ton of damage as we've seen. These are his masteries in case someone is wondering about them. And then we'll check our strong epics here. So let's start with Whisper. So Whisper, of course, these are her masteries because I use her against bosses. So let's see now. So 6k attack. You would have imagined that my Whisper hitting this hard had like 8 or 10k attack. But it's only 6k attack with 300% crit damage. But this is a strong Whisper build, but it's not the strongest by far. So Whisper is a great damage dealer. Her multipliers are insane. And Relentless, you can put her in different sets like Merciless or Savage or Lethal. I like my Whisper in Relentless. She causes a lot of damage and she can take extra turns. Just the stats again, it's not as crazy as you think they are, but she does a ton of damage. She's just one of the strongest epics ever in doing damage. Let's see my Oboro, because my Oboro, I do use her. She's in Savage. I do use her in one of my Hydra teams compared with Mikagi. 6k attack, again not crazy, 327% crit damage. So, and of course she's super slow because most of Oboro's damage, this is a very special case, it's coming from Mikagi's like ally attacks. That's why I don't need any speed on her. But in case you want to build Oboro to use her in other places, you have to give her at least 220-230 speed without messing up with the attack and crit damage. Oboro's great as well, I like her, with her masteries and everything. Now let's examine Phoenix, one of my most favorite champions in the game ever. My Phoenix isn't lethal, and his stats, look at this guys, come on, this is a weak build. You can do better than this. Only 5k attack and he's hitting for a 200k on an A1. Of course I gave him some accuracy as well because I want him to land those debuffs depending on which area of content I have him in. 200 speed is barely the minimum here, but 317 crit damage. If I regear this Phoenix and I put like 8k attack on him, he will be beating everyone, even Rotos. Phoenix, you're my boy. I love this champion so much. So as we've seen today, Rotos aside, Saito's a joke. Even my 6-star Saito with Crushing Rend couldn't compete at all. Yeah, the attack is super low, I understand it. So maybe I'll give him some grace there, but not much. Unfortunately, even a +4 Gala and Ragnar with decent builds couldn't compete with our top epic damage dealers. Whisper, Oburu, and Phoenix, my favorite champion. They are all epic beasts, hitting for large numbers and helping you with content, especially if you got the blessings and you got like duplicates of them to empower them. If you have this, these champions can be useful than half of your damage dealing Legos in the game, unless you have mythicals of course. Let me know in the comments below, do you want me to do similar comparisons between support epics, someone like Archmage Helmut for example, because also there are very few epic support epics in game that can be more useful than half the support Legos. Let me know if you like those comparisons and if you want me to make more of them. Now to the question. As I promised you, every video now I'm asking a question towards a giveaway. Whoever gets 5 points per question, collects 100 points, he will automatically win the crazy account with mythicals and void Legos, and we won't have to wait till 3k subs. So the question for today is, who is Richard Garfield? Who is Richard Garfield? First right answer will get 5 points towards winning that crazy account that's always in the description below that we have the giveaway for. Thank you for stopping by today. Let me know in the comments below if you like the video and what you want to see other than this. And I'll see you in the next one.